Okay, we'll go ahead and get started. Hi, hello, and welcome. Thank you everybody for joining us this evening for our Meet the Growers session presented by the Apothecarium. And we have Ilera Healthcare with us. We have Marissa Liuzzi, who is the Director of Field Marketing for Ilera Healthcare. And then we have Fran Markopko, who is the Director of Education and Medical Professionals for the Apothecarium Dispensary. Before we get started, just going to go over a little bit about the Apothecarium. The Apothecarium was founded in 2011 by a gentleman named Ryan Hudson in San Francisco, California, and his aim was to build a dispensary where patients could really be proud to bring their parents. And our goal with the Apothecarium is really to put first-time patients at ease with a really beautiful atmosphere and friendly and knowledgeable staff. And the Apothecarium is an award-winning full-service medical marijuana dispensary, and our mission is to really provide patients with quality medicine in a welcoming environment with ongoing education, empathy, and support. We have 3 locations in Pennsylvania. We have Plymouth Meeting, Thorndale, and Lancaster. What makes us different is that we're vertically integrated. Our grower that we are featuring tonight, Ilera Healthcare, is actually the growing arm of our organization. We are also very medically focused in that we offer lots of education and training to our approved certifying physicians. And then we also like to be patient and physician focused as well. So we're happy to offer you this training about the Ilera brand, as well as Kind Tree and Prism products as well. So I'm going to turn it over to Marissa. I'm going to stop sharing my screen and she'll take it from here. So thank you for coming, Marissa.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it. All right, let me share my screen. Can you see that okay?
Yes.
Awesome. All right, well, good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining. Grab your favorite, your favorite medicine for this happy hour and join me for 40 minutes or so. My name is Marissa Liuzzi. As Michelle mentioned, I'm the Director of Field Marketing. So I do a lot of these education events. You may see me out and about at dispensaries talking to you all patients out in the field. So a little bit about Ilera Healthcare. We are PA grown. We started out we are in Fulton County in the foothills of the Appalachians. We were acquired in 2019, summer of 2019. We started in the beginning of the PA program, and then in 2019 we were acquired by the Canadian company TerrAscend. And TerrAscend and that acquisition was great because it allowed us to grow figuratively and literally. So this is our facility out in the foothills of the Appalachians, like I mentioned. And we started with a hybrid greenhouse at 60,000 square feet, which we still use and operate at 100%. And we've since added on 40,000 square feet of indoor grow space and double stacked. So of course that gives us double the canopy space to really meet the demand for all the PA medical marijuana patients out there. A little bit about how we grow. Our grower has been growing on this scale for quite some time in places like Puerto Rico and Colorado, and we're lucky to have him here in Pennsylvania. We have a strain library of over 350, and we do some breeding as well in our facility. But essentially, we start with mother plants. We had originally seeds. You grow those seeds out, you pick your favorite phenotypes of those seeds, and you grow those stronger to create what we call a mother plant that stays in the vegetative stage. We clone from that mother plant, meaning we take clippings from her to create the same plant from that clipping. From there, we do vegetative state. So the mother stays in vegetative state. The clones will move to vegetative state and eventually move on. But that vegetative state, what we're doing is mimicking summer, right? We're providing it a lot of light, keeping the air warm, but not too hot, like a nice Mediterranean summer, if you will. And then they'll stay there for a few months. They'll get really big and strong to prepare for the flowering stage. Now, flowering stage in nature is fall, right? So this is telling the plant through the shortness of the daytime, of the light structure that we give it, that fall is here, winter is coming soon, and my life cycle is coming to an end. I better go ahead and reproduce and create those nice flower buds. Once those flower buds are fully mature after a few months, again, so this is a few month process, we of course harvest. And harvest is simply the act, right, of cutting down those plants, but we do it with two different product types in mind. For one, we'll dry and cure the plant material. And for another type of product, our live products, we won't dry and cure it. We will harvest it. We'll cut it down here in this fresh state like you see in the slide. And we'll actually freeze it right away. And that really preserves the flavor from the trichomes. The trichomes of the plant is really what gives you all that flavor, those flavonoids, and is the driver of that plant. So it really preserves that, which a lot of patients prefer, right? You can also see our medium is cocoa fiber cubes. So that really allows us to retain more water. So we use less water overall. When you have such a large, agricultural facility like this, that is definitely important to maintain resources. And we use drip feeding. We don't use any chemical pesticides or feeders. We use integrated pest management as needed, really to prevent any bugs or pests or those regular things that might happen even in your garden, right? In the normal time. Excuse me. Excuse me. So kind tree, you may have seen that recently in our flower, right? We started with Ilera flower, but we created the Kind Tree brand to really separate, but also communicate, excuse me, this flower brand, as well as all our strain specific products. Kind Tree will follow us essentially wherever we go on the East Coast. So we did launch this first in New Jersey, actually, and then PA, and most recently in Maryland. So really exciting. But really the vibe is clean to the earth, kind to the earth, kind to the environment, kind to patients, and all of that. We use LED lighting in our grow facility so that we're really minimizing the electricity that we're using with that and how much heat that's producing. We have the hybrid greenhouse, so we're able to supplement with the sun and use some natural air to filter out. We have a huge water reclamation system on top of using cocoa fiber, right, that I mentioned before, that also retains a lot more water. So that's really the whole ethos of this brand, is that kind to the planet, again, kind to the earth, kind to yourself. Here's a nice shot of all the product lines we provide under the Kind Tree brand. And I'm going to go over the non-flower items as well. Just to continue a little bit though on the flower part, we do dry and cure. So after we harvest, we place those plants that are meant to be dried and cured in a humidity and temperature controlled room. We leave them in the dark for 10 days or more or so in that dry period, and then move them on to a cure period as well. We do trim our plants mixed with machine trim. Essentially, we do machine trim for the bulk. We do hand trim, of course, the larger fan leaves and some of those larger sugar leaves, but mainly we're running them through a very soft machine trimmer. Those fan leaves on the plants there in that image, you can see those larger leaves. They have very little medicinal value in the program. because there's very little trichomes on it. And right, the trichome is what carries all the cannabinoids, the terpenes, flavonoids, all those therapeutic medicinal properties in the plant. And if you have any questions, I didn't mention in the start, but feel free to drop them in the chat, and we'll go ahead and address them. I'll have definitely have some time at the end as well. But to move on some of our non-flower items and how we process and make those, we use two major forms of extraction methods. So for all our distillate products, so those distillate vapes you see, distillate syringes, the distillate we use for our tinctures and topicals, those are all made using ethanol extraction. We use ethanol extraction, one, because we can get a great yield from it, yes, but also we have a lot more control with the ethanol extraction to clean it further out and filter it out. We also reclaim that ethanol and can reuse it, which is again part of our mantra, our ethos of really being mindful of using minimal amount of resources and reusing where we can, where it's safe and clean. So that's one of those ways where we can do that. So the ethanol extraction for all our distillate, and what that does is that dried cured plant material is put through an ethanol extractor, right? So it pulls all those oils coming from that plant. Now, it will also pull some of the natural plant other natural plant items like the chlorophyll and just normal plant material. So it does go through several filtration processes and distillation before the end product. During this process, the distillate is also decarboxylated. Now, that means that the THCA, which is the THC acid form of THC, it's not active, right? We activate it. And that's typically what happens when you heat up or combust flower to activate that THCA to THC, and that's what gives you those effects. So we do that ethanol for all the distillate, pull those cannabinoids. We do that solvent recovery. We do the distillation. Now for all our live products, we use what's called butane hash oil method, or BHO. And that is really great for those live products because it's a great terpene polar and cannabinoid polar. So essentially we use a lot of our dried materials, but also this is where the live plant material comes into play. So we'll actually take that fresh frozen plant that we harvested from later on, and from that fresh frozen state, and we'll extract it using the butane. So that'll pull out really flavorful profile of terpenes, as well as those cannabinoids, all cannabis derived. So Kind Tree, like I mentioned, encompasses the flower and is also strain-specific vapes. A little bit about our distillate vapes. I mentioned that distillation process and the ethanol. Now, when we have that end product, it's a nice golden cannabinoid-heavy distillate, right? So it's kind of like a concentrate of those cannabinoids. There's very little terpenes at this point until we reintroduce terpenes to the distillate to create those strain-specific blends that you may have seen and known and like, right? Cherry Diesel, Sunday Driver, what have you, will recreate that strain profile in the distillate carts. Also, a little bit about our hardware. Our carts do have a standard 510 thread, so they will be able to twist on to really any standard battery. I do recommend a lower voltage when you use our cartridges. So if you have a variable voltage battery, maybe 3.4, 3.3 even, to get a nice even flavor and pull. Compatible though with any type of battery otherwise, meaning if you do want to have a variable battery, variable voltage, or just a draw activated, these would work with either. The tip is a plastic tip, and it has a glass pyric chamber and a ceramic heating element. These do, come apart, as you will, but the filler on the top is so tiny. A patient would need a needle really to refill that, but that also helps with avoiding any leaking and just malfunction like that. We also have our LLR cartridges, or liquid live resin, and this is made mostly using that butane hash oil method from the live plant materials, and we get that high terpene extract that makes liquid live resin really, really flavorful, and typically somewhat higher in THC, a little bit maybe than the distillate products. Now we do, the LLR carts do have a small amount of distillate in our formulation, and that really helps with enhancing that flavor profile, but also avoiding crystallization of those live products, which tends to happen in a cartridge form. So this allows it to flow freely, and the patient, you always have a nice draw from it. So we had our disposables, which were the same distillate medicine inside. We have our 1,000 milligram or 1 gram carts, like I mentioned, in both the distillate and now in the liquid live resin. And we also have our distillate syringe, which is my personal favorite product that we make as a patient. This is that distillate, right, that I mentioned, fully activated in an easy to use hard plastic syringe. This is so great because it's so versatile, right? You can literally just put this on your tongue if you want to use it lingually. You can mix this with food. You can infuse butters or oils to make your own type of edibles. You can use these in your favorite recipes. It makes the edible making process so simple, just so simple. Even the strength of your full syringe, so you can use a little bit of math to help with your dosing. It's just really the most versatile. I do recommend this mostly for making edibles or to ingest, but you can also vape this. If you like, you can even make your own caviar, as it is. So that's flour with, oil and then keef. So you could kind of mix that with your flour if you like. And it can be dabbed as well, although that is the least recommended way to use this. The plunger, the syringe, the actual applicator itself is great too, because it has 2 caps to it. It has 1 cap, of course, to release the product, the medicine, and then it has a wider tip, but you can also remove the second cover, and that allows you to have a more fine pointed tip if you wanted to make capsules, or just have use a very little dose. Sometimes it's easier at the pointer tip. These can also, if you want to, their viscosity is essentially like honey. If you did want to liquefy it a little more, you could kind of warm it up, rolling it in your hands, or some people will just put it in a cup of warm water. Make sure the cap is on very, very tight with that though. Our other syringe type product is RSO, right? Or Rick Simpson oil is the full name. And this product type goes way, way back to Rick Simpson. The individual this product is named after. He created this full spectrum concentrate of flour, essentially. And he in particular used it to treat his skin for his conditions. And this has become a popular product still you can use it for topical, but also to make edibles as well. And what's different between this and distillate is we use the same extraction method. So we use ethanol, we use dry cured plant material, but where they branch off is when we pull those cannabinoids from the plant, we filter it, yes, right? We take out some of the heavy plant material that gets pulled with it, but then we'll go ahead and distill it further, filtrate it further, etc. With the RSO, it branches off. There's a point where it stops, right? We filter it, and that's kind of it. We don't keep going and distill it further and further. We do that because we don't want to remove we don't want to remove all the cannabinoids. That allows it to be full spectrum. So essentially what this is, it is liquid flower. You're getting everything you can possibly get in this product that you would get from flower, that full range of cannabinoids and the terpenes from that blend. We have hybrids of different mixes of flower that we use to make it, but then we also will rotate with strain-specific RSO blends. And again, this is great for edibles, gummies, things like that, if that's your preferred administration method. This can also be vaped. I don't necessarily recommend it. I really recommend this as a edible or, lingually, or make capsules. That's also a very, very popular method. Same applicator, so same method there in terms of having that finer point tip and warming it up using your hand, or even putting it in some warm water for a little while. That'll thin it out a little bit. Compared to distillate, the viscosity of this is more like molasses, whereas the distillate is like honey. So this is a lot thicker, has more of that plant material in it for that reason, and is a darker color. I'm also really excited about this newest product we released under Kind Tree. It was previously under the Ilera line, which I'll go over next, but this is our Kind Tree first tincture release, and those are coming to you in our apothecariums. They should be there now, actually, or this coming week, and certainly in other dispensaries next week as well. So this is 900 milligram tinctures in both a unflavored version and a green apple flavored version. So this is THC plus, THC only, along with that carrier oil, which is MCT oil. And that allows you to have more control over this product, because you don't have those terpenes in there that are really driving. The THC, right, is kind of like the gas if you're driving a car, where those terpenes are the steering wheel. They're going to tell you which way you're going, up or down, or just kind of cruising along, right? So without those terpenes, you have a very generalized feeling that THC, and that can maybe be great for days where you maybe need more THC for some symptoms, or your tolerance is building over time to where you may need to start adding THC to your formulated products or just your daily regime. So again, unflavored, green apple, both 900 milligrams, total cannabinoids in the bottle. So that's 30 milligrams of THC for every ml or milliliter or full dropper. Pretty awesome. Looking forward to hearing how you all like the green apple, especially. We also recently gave our Ilera medical line a makeover. So the new look really, I think, does a good job of communicating that this is a spectrum. This is to have a spectrum of effects, make it very easy to pick and choose what you're looking for, what type of effect you're looking for to deal with your ailments, your symptoms. So we have all our great formulated vapes, as well as tinctures and a topical. So starting with the vape, you can see this nice spectrum from more of a sativa leaning to indica leaning. Now, one outlier is Freedom, and you can see that there, the red packaging. That really mirrors Harlequin strain and has a ratio closer to a 2-to-1 THC to CBD. And this is really meant, we worked with a veteran at our grow facility to address symptoms of PTSD. So really high anxiety. We heard anecdotally, really in the community, that a lot of veterans were leaning towards Harlequin, but could not find it consistently in their dispensaries. So this was really our answer to that. This is a great vape for, again, for individuals who may experience high levels of anxiety. These can treat any kind of really universal symptoms: sleeplessness, lack of sleep, right? Sleeplessness, or that lack of sleep, lack of energy even, or focus, anxiety, of course. Those are huge symptoms. And of course, pain, the number one reason patients get carb, right? Next to anxiety, I assume. But Shine is our one-to-one, so equal parts THC to CBD, nice, even keel, but more sativa-leaning terps. So that's great for daytime. Might be great for chronic pain sufferers. The vape cartridges are a great instant relief and have a shorter time of effect, right? Breathe is that 2-to-1 THC to CBD, sort of like that Freedom, and in the sense that it's for relaxation, but the terpenes are certainly different. This does not mimic a certain strain. The terpenes in here are really meant to relax without sedating you. Whereas Soothe is a 5-to-1. So now we're creeping over to a more indica dominant hybrid, right? With a little more THC than CBD, or a good amount more. And those terpenes are more geared towards pain relief, really soothing the body systemically and locally in this line as well. Dream is our most popular in terms of the tincture form, and I'll go over that more. But this is an 8-to-1 THC to CBD. So really packs a punch with that THC. If you're someone that has trouble getting to sleep at night, this vape is great to help you get to sleep, to just get there. In the tincture form, like I said, I'll go over as well. That is great if you have trouble staying asleep at night. This is really meant to, like the name suggests, help you dream, help you go to sleep. So those terps are really those that you would find in more indica type strains that make you a little sleepy. The hardware, this got a makeover inside and out in terms of the packaging as well as the hardware. So we updated all our hardware to be the same across the board with the Ilera and Country lines. This has the plastic tip, like I mentioned, standard 510 thread, and is compatible with any battery you'd like to use, and still has that ceramic heating element to it. Our tincture line is definitely, I would say, one of our more popular medical products in PA. This does, again, mimic the whole spectrum from sativa to indica, and that's hybrids in between. So you have your Shine tincture. It is at 150 milligrams of total THC. So that is about 5 milligrams of total cannabinoids per milliliter, right? This all has an MCT oil base, and this has a nice flavor of citrus. The Ease, and that is our CBD heavy tincture, and that is a 1-to-10 THC to CBD, so 10 parts CBD to THC. Really great that you have both of those. They work well together, those two cannabinoids. And this I see as a great daily tincture to, get your CBD levels up in your body to help address those ailments. CBD has been known to be great for inflammation, so pain that is really coming from, inflammatory type pain. We also recently listened to the market in telling us that they would like to see a stronger CBD tincture. So we recently upped the formulation of this, or upped the strength of this tincture to 10 milligrams of total cannabinoids per milliliter. So you're getting approximately 9 milligrams of CBD and 1 milligram of THC for every full dropper of this. It has 300 milligrams of total cannabinoids in the bottle, and this has a nice blackberry flavor to it. I'm going to go over the hopes separately, but we also have, in the next slide, we also have our Soothe tincture. And this line, if you remember right, it's that 5-to-1, more meant for pain relief. This has a raspberry flavor to it, still in that MCT oil, 5 milligrams total cannabinoids per milliliter. Now remember, these tinctures might have a longer onset, meaning it might take, it depends. For some individuals, it could take 15 minutes. For others, it could take upwards of an hour. So keep that in mind when you're trying to dose. Definitely talk to your pharmacist about how to start dosing these, because they do have a longer lasting effect, 3 to 6 hours sometimes. So you're really making a commitment there. So for For example, the dream is that 8-to-1, right? That you really want to go low and slow so that you stay asleep the night and you're not, groggy in the morning or anything like that. This also has the 5 milligrams total cannabinoids per milliliter, and this has a nice vanilla Bavarian cream. If you have any trouble staying asleep at all, I really, really recommend this tincture. This is definitely by far our most popular and favorite amongst patients who use our products. The Hope tinctures, as I promised, wanted to go over a little separately. So this line is also special because we worked with a local nonprofit, Hope Grows for Autism, to develop these two formulations to help address some of the symptoms across the autism spectrum disorder. So some of those cluster symptoms like high anxiety, oxidative stress, all those sorts of things. Hope 1 is that 1-to-1. The terpenes are more daytime, but not too severe like the Shine, let's say, or a very heavy sativa, but does have that equal parts. It is an organic olive oil base. And Hope 1 has a flavor of chocolate mint. Now, we did work with Hope Grows for Autism and the autism community to do flavor profile and flavor testing so that we knew what, mostly children of caregivers liked when taking their medicine for autism. These have, I can't remember if I said 10 milligrams total cannabinoids per milliliter. So these have the 300 milligrams of total cannabinoids in each bottle, but maintaining those ratios, right? Hope 2 is a 5-to-1 THC to CBD. So Erica, the president of Hope Grows, she might recommend this more for moderate to severe symptoms of autism, whereas Hope 1 might be better for mild to moderate symptoms. So Hope 2, again, it's a chocolate mint flavor, very light chocolate mint in that organic olive oil base, and the 10 milligrams of total cannabinoids per milliliter. Our topical in the Soothe family product, again, right, that Soothe line is meant to help address pain. So this line really covers all the ways that you may want to address pain, systemically, locally, with the tincture, the longer lasting. It's a really fantastic. You should try different types depending on what your symptoms are of different types of cannabis products. This is a localized treatment, right? This is going to address let's say pain in your elbow. If you're going to put it there, if that's where you have it, it would only address that where you're putting it. It's not going to get into your blood-brain barrier. It's not a transdermal in that sense. It's really great for muscle aches, things like that, even skin issues, as long as there's no broken, skin. Great for that as well, with that 5-to-1 THC to CBD in there. Those terpenes that are, known for more pain relief. This has a nice passion flower scent to it, so it smells really nice. So that you're not smelling necessarily like you have, cannabis on you. It does smell like a nice lotion, and it has a buttercream base, so it is really more like a lotion than something, like a salve or something greasier. So that is our Ilera line, which is really our medical formulated, that thoughtful line for treating symptoms, the Kind Tree line for flower, strain-specific varieties. And then we have our Prism brand line, which encompasses all our concentrates. So we use butane hash oil to extract from our plant material. We have both dried cured concentrates, which comes from the dried cured plant material, and we have live concentrates, which come from live fresh frozen plant material. The differences there are really mostly in taste. Some patients prefer one over the other. Live tends to really preserve, again, those trichomes. And those terpenes in the trichomes. So you're really getting that robust flavor profile, right? And this comes in all the different consistencies. Prism and concentrates, BHO, are all about the consistency. What do you prefer, right? So we have from left to right here in this slide, we have batter, which just like it sounds, you know, like a cake batter or something to that effect. It has that kind of viscosity of a batter, so easier to use or scoop out if you're using. Most people use a dab rig for this, that, you know, involves a heating up a nail to high temperatures to then vape that. Or they sell vape pens, you know, with the coils in it inside the fillable chambers, where you can, you know, put that in there and vape that way, and vape it either with a coil or ceramic. There's a ton out there that you can choose from. And definitely when you visit your dispensary, talk to your wellness associate about what might be best for the form factor you're using. Crumble there, like it looks, right? Kind of crumbly. You know, again, really makes it easy to sprinkle on things or into your dab rig or vape pen, whichever you're using. The next one, though, is live crystals. And while it looks similar to, you know, maybe some of the crumble, it's quite different, right? This is made using live plant material first, and it is so potent. It is, when we do the live process from the flower, the THC creates these crystals throughout that process. So you have these isolated THCA crystals, and then throughout that process, we put back the high terpene extract. Typically, you know, with diamonds or this sort of thing, or crystals, a lot of growers will wash off the terpenes and just have that isolate, the THCA crystals. We do not wash off the terpenes. We think that high terpene extract, it makes it a more robust, a more, you know, therapeutic concentrate, because you're not just having that THC, you have a good amount of those terps as well. Really potent. I don't think we've had one that tested under 90%. And these are also strain specific. Sugar, that is an interesting one. You know, it is like sugar a lot of the time, but you can also freeze it or keep it out in room temperature to kind of, you know, toggle between a more harder sugar, more like a brown sugar, you know, that has a little more give to it. Also sauce, which like the name suggests, it's a lot more viscous and saucy. This can also be used, you know, to dab or vape. Some patients will make edibles out of sort of these things, but you will have to go through that decarboxylation process yourself. Shatter as well, and as you can see, that looks like something that would shatter. It looks like glass. This one too can be great if you put it in the fridge or freezer. Even if you want to have it like harder in the freezer, you literally can snap it, or you can keep it in the fridge and it'll be more of a pull and snap. Sometimes, well, especially in the summer, if you leave it out, you know, in the room temperature, it'll still generally be shatter, but it'll be more pulley as well, you know, more like a wax. So that's the Prism line. Definitely more to come there. That will be our next kind of line that gets a refresher, a little makeover, but super popular with those who love concentrates, people with maybe more chronic pain, and those who have a higher tolerance. These tend to be a lot stronger, as the name suggests, concentrated form. So that is Ilera Healthcare, that is Kind Tree, that is Prism. If you'd like more in-depth information on any of those products, we have a website separately for each, but also any website will direct you to each other so that you can research that more. And also please visit our Apothecarium dispensaries. As Michelle mentioned, we have Lancaster, Thorndale, Plymouth Meeting, and also recently the KCR locations in Scranton, Bethlehem, and Strasburg. So thank you so much for your time this evening. If there's any questions that came in or that you have, feel free to ask me.
I am checking Marissa to see if there's any questions. So far, just getting some thank yous, and thank you for the information.
Thank you.
Let me check the Q&A and the chat. I mean, I think your presentation was very thorough. Framar, do you have any closing remarks? Oops. Oh, actually, I think, oh no, it's just another thank you.
Another thank you. You know, if you do come up with any questions, of course, please, we have patients@ilerahealthcare.com, or you can even email me directly at Liuzzi, Liuzzi @ilerahealthcare.com for any product questions.
Yes, and we also video recorded this session, so we will end up posting it up somewhere, or at least getting it out to all the registrants, so you can then save it to watch it again at a later time. Oh, I think we have one question that came through. Let's see.
I think that's a better one for Fran. I mean, I certainly have my opinion, but I'll let Franmar take that one.
Yeah. Did you see the question, Franmar? Do you want to read it?
Yes. So this patient suffers from chronic pain severely. What would we suggest? So my next question would be, what type of, where's the chronic pain stemming from? Is it kind of more muscular? Is it more neuropathy and nerve? Is it more arthritic type of pain? Because that's going to depend. Anything that's muscular or neuropathy in nature is best treated with a THC product, or a product that's going to be a little higher in THC over CBD. Any pain that is caused by inflammation, like arthritic type of pain, is going to do better with a product that is going to be higher in the CBD aspect. Now, if your pain is kind of a combination of all of those, 2 or 3, sometimes it's better to go with a product that's going to have both THC and CBD, so more of a 1-to-1. I also recommend with patients with pain issues that you layer products. So you take products that are short acting. If you're okay with inhaling, that would be like your flower and your vape cartridges. If you're not okay with inhaling, totally fine. Tinctures will work since they're faster acting when taken under the tongue. And then pairing that with one of the products that is going to be longer acting. So whether that is a solution that's going to be swallowed, a capsule, a tablet, the RSOs or distillate syringes that Marissa talked about. Combination of all 3 of 3 major surgeries. Okay, so combination. So I would recommend utilizing both THC and CBD in combination, and utilizing both a short-acting form and a long-acting form. The idea is the long-acting form is going to help with more maintenance, and then the short-acting is going to be there when you have those exacerbations or increased pain. You kind of want to nip it in the bud before it gets too far ahead, where then, you know, it's kind of past the point of no return and nothing will help. So I hope that helps and gives you some guidance.
It sounds like ease and THC plus and maybe soothe and maybe shine. Yeah. A little bit of everything. Sorry to hear about your surgery, though. Good luck with that, for sure.
Awesome. Well, thank you again, Marissa. I don't see any more questions that come through. So thank you, everybody, for joining us. And again, if you have any questions, you can utilize the patients at apothecariumpa.com. And
sorry.
It's okay. And one of our pharmacists will get back with you. So thank you, everybody, and have a wonderful night. And we will talk to you soon. Bye.
Thank you.